All right, what is up, everybody? Mark on the mic here, joined by Mr. Remi Warren, one of my good friends, one of, if not the best hunters in the country. Remi, I'm going to say it because you're too humble to say it. So I think, I'm just going to go out there. There, I said it.
Oh,
it's
thanks,
out there.
Mark. I appreciate it. I'll take that compliment.
Remi, we've hunted together a couple times.
Yep.
I'm a longtime listener of your podcast, the Live Wild podcast. If you haven't tuned in out there, this is my shameless plug for your podcast on our podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's some sort of like Inception type thing. You have some hunting mantras that I would say are at least fairly, if not like steadfast. Like you don't break free from them.
Yeah, there's a few things that I just, I hunt a lot, and over the years, guiding, hunting, there's just a few things that you realize if you do it a certain way, you find success. And when I get out of doing things a certain way, whether it's for safety or success on the hunt, a couple little mantras, it's like you got to remind yourself, if you do this, then and it leads to a better outcome. And so there's just a few things like people that hunt with me, that just like keep coming up. And so I kind of just like make them my own like little personal credo of this is just the way that I do things. And it's pretty easy things, but it leads to a lot more success, or a lot, I would say, like more enjoyment of the hunt in some ways.
When you're hunting with other people, which you do a lot.
Yep.
Like, do you share that information like in the moment, or are you just looking over here like, I wouldn't do that?
Sometimes I do share that information. Oh, I did think of I do share that information, yes. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just keep it in my head and I do my thing and just follow along.
Sometimes the best lessons are learned the hard way.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Well, let's jump into it. Well, I know a couple off the top of my head.
Yep.
And one of them, I'm just going to start with, okay, I guess they're all my favorite, but I do like this one because I love a good Puffy jacket.
Yep.
Protect the Puffy at all costs.
Yeah, protect the Puffy. That's one like I use that because especially for backcountry hunts, if you have an insulation layer, the job of that insulation layer is to keep you warm. And I'll be on a hunt and be like whatever, and it starts to lightly rain and someone's got their puffer insulation layer on. I'm like, dude, we're walking around, either throw your rain gear on or whatever. First thing I do when I see inclement weather coming in and I have my insulation layer, I put it in a waterproof bag and stick it in my backpack. Because if I get very soaked or whatever, that's how I'm going to warm up. And that saved me so many times. Just this year in Alaska, it's like very wet conditions and soaking wet. End of the day, just freezing, shivering. It's like sleeping bags are wet. Everything's wet. But I have that one dry puffer jacket that I throw on when it's like the day's done and you're done walking. You can stay very warm without insulation on just by walking around, hiking around, other things. But when you need to stop and warm up, get in shelter, throw that insulation layer on and warm up. And yeah, you can wear it other times when, it's not inclement weather, but when the snow's coming in, when the wind and rain is coming in, protect your puffer. You just protect it. Do not get it wet. Keep it in a dry bag. Like, don't get it soaked.
Do you, like, let's say it is that nasty weather, but maybe you are, you're still out, you're hunting, maybe you're trying to glass something up. Are you wearing it underneath, like, your rain gear then? Like, will you still wear it then because it's kind of essentially protected? Or are you like, no, like, I'm, like, keeping this?
Yeah, I don't ever wear it under my rain gear because it'll get, it goes through any kind of opening. If it's coming down, I generally will just use something else, like my shirt and my rain gear, and then if I'm cold and I need to warm up, I'll just throw my rain gear on and walk around.
Okay.
That's let my body be the heater. And then the other thing is too, if it does get wet, you can dry it out in your sleep because your body will radiate heat, and then so it's like at the end of the day, sometimes they do get wet. You can dry it out. I'll sleep in it in my sleeping bag and let the heat from my body draw the moisture out, and then that moisture will evaporate. So you can dry them out, but yeah, if it gets wet, dry it out and then protect it better.
And then
But I like to have, especially in the backcountry situations, have like some way to warm up pretty quick in a shelter when you're done for the day and you just need to like get warm.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's something I've done a little bit lately as far as like it really, I guess I I didn't think of it until like the last couple of years, but if I do have like a dry sleeping bag, like, and I am a little bit wet, like maybe my socks got wet, maybe I, crossed something and I didn't have, whatever the circumstances, but actually drying stuff out like in your sleeping bag, as long as it's not going to compromise your sleeping bag too.
Yeah, it generally won't. Like if you've got a good sleeping bag, especially a synthetic bag. I used to always run a synthetic bag, but now with like the treated down, I just use that. I use Stone Glacier Chilkoot now, and that's probably the best down bag that I've encountered. I've used nearly, probably maybe not every company's bags, but I've used almost all the bags, and that one is the best I think for drying you out.
Oh, cool.
That I've encountered. I will crawl in that thing completely soaking wet,
Like that would be something that I would be like fearful of, being like, hey, like kind of like this sleeping bag is like the Puffy. It's kind of a lifeline, and like, I don't want to compromise that.
Yeah, but you have to, like on a big long backcountry hunt, you have to dry out. Otherwise, you're just going to be wet and cold the entire time, and that's actually more dangerous, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll crawl into that bag, like I'll wring it out, and then crawl in. I mean, I've had very wet. And I think it depends, about 6 hours takes to dry you out, maybe a little longer depending on how wet it is. And then you need a little bit of you can't just zip your tent up. You got to have some airflow going.
Okay.
But your body will heat up. It'll pull the moisture out. It'll pull it through the bag and then evaporate. And then your body will then dry the bag eventually. Yep. And if it airs out or cool, any kind of wind, breeze, it'll help. You need that evaporative cooling that way. But
okay.
Or evaporation that way. I don't know. What do you call it?
A way for the moisture to leave where you don't want it to be.
But it does work.
Very cool. Very cool. What about, I'm just like I said, these are a couple off the top of my head. Okay. Forgive me if I butcher it, but go the best way, not the easy way.
Yes, that's my flagship motto.
Should I save that one for last?
That is the one that I would have saved for last, but it's that's the one that is my hunting success. If you don't tell yourself that, you're going to do the wrong move, right? It's like you go the best, make a decision based off what's best, not what's easiest. And I do it in everything in life, but even just assembling our booth for this show, we put it up in one thing and it's a very large metal booth. And I'm like, let's choose. I don't care that we put it up and it was difficult and to move it's going to be a pain in the ass. We're going to go what's going to be best, not what's the easiest.
Okay.
It's okay. But when you're hunting, same thing applies. Like you see a deer here, it's like, okay, well, if I just cross here, then I can quickly go around, but maybe you've got a bad wind. And it's like, well, what's the best way for the situation? You would think you would always choose the best way. Sometimes the best way means going completely around the mountain and over the top. It's a lot of extra work. So I just choose my routes and my plans based on the best way, not the easy way. Sometimes the best way is the easy way. It doesn't mean that doesn't mean choose the hard way. It means choose the best way.
Even if, the easy way is a lot easier. What if it's a lot easier?
I go the best way. I know. You know what I mean? There's how many times are you let's say you're sitting down glassing, right? And this deer pops out over here, and you go, oh, well, the wind is going there, but I'm that distance where it shouldn't wind me, and then you do it and you get winded, or you go oh, I'm going to go up this ridge because I can get there faster, even though maybe the deer's bedded. I can get there faster, but there's a couple places where I might be exposed. I got to be on that exposed hillside, so he could potentially see me, or I'd have to drop down, go around the backside and back up. I'm dropping down, going around the backside and going back up. I'm not going to risk it because a perfect stalk, especially when you're bow hunting, you need the animal to be completely unaware of your presence. And even just cluing them in to a little bit of you makes later on in the hunt things, it changes the way that they react in certain situations. It puts you at a disadvantage. So I choose things based off of what's the best option for the circumstances.
Does time factor into that though as well? One thing that I'd be worried about, well, great, yeah, maybe I'll go the best way, but it's going to take me several hours. Is the deer still going to be there? I mean, or is that something that you're factoring maybe depending on where you're at in the hunt, like day 1 versus day 5.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yeah, time might be like, well, maybe for this situation, that's the best way. Like if it's an animal and you need to ambush it before it goes over that ridge, then the best way would be like hustling up to the ridge. You know, it's just like whatever's best for that situation. But there's a lot of times where I'll be hunting with people and they choose the way it's like, oh, it'd be easy to go here and down. It's like, oh, yeah, but what's the wind doing? Right? Because like, oh, yeah, but it might not smell us, but it might. Right? So I'm not taking that risk. So I'm taking the risk of like, yeah, okay, but it's going to be a little bit further to go this way. Or like, you know, I can make up time. You know what I mean? Like, I can hustle.
I have followed you. Yes, you can.
I can make up time. We need to be somewhere we're going to get there. Like, I'll make up the time to go the best way.
Yes, I recall like hands on hips, huffing. I'm like, is he floating? Can he float? He looks like he's floating. I think he's floating.
Yeah.
What else? What else you got for us?
I say this in my podcast a lot. You got to put the glass to your face. Like you do not spot animals through glassing osmosis. You have to put your binoculars and optics to your face. I see so many people that like, I'll run into somebody on the trail. Hey, how's it going? Good. See anything? And like, sometimes people say, see anything? And I'm like, nope, haven't seen anything. But I can actually tell when somebody's really not seen anything. You know, I'm pretty good at it because they're like walking down and I see elk up there. I don't know how many times I've been going up a trail after elk and people are coming down having not seen anything. And they're very apparent to see if you glassed, right? Yeah. Like, very easy to find. And I look and it's like, oh, no optics, or they've got their optics in their backpack, or they just, I hunt with people all the time. It's like, I will see a lot of animals that people don't see, and I notice that they aren't glassing, right? Like, it's just a thing. Because a lot of people want to just, like, they'll look around and then they try to use their optics to verify. I use my optics as my eyeballs. Like, if you put them to your face, you're going to be able to see a lot more. I think of it like this. If you had a superpower and you chose not to use that superpower, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Optics are a superpower. You get 10 times your normal vision. Use it, right? Like, use it like it's your normal vision. And I think that people who are very successful Western big game hunting are really good at glassing. And maybe not even really good at glassing, but persistent in glassing, like continually using their optics. That's just the cold, hard truth of it.
I grew up, hunting, Western Washington, and a lot of the shots were like, fairly close proximity, but I think a lot of that was close proximity due to the fact that I didn't even have binoculars when I first started hunting, Once I got, and I'll say, a good set of binoculars, I think that, that comes into play as well. You're going to want to use an optic that's like doing you like a big service, right? Like if you're not using a good optic, it's like you don't feel like using it either, It changed my hunting life. It changed how I hunt. It changed where I hunt. It changed where I go, like even like where I might set up to hunt. My entire approach to, at least, maybe not all, but vast majority of my hunts changed when I started like glassing a lot. And not because, I work for Vortex now, I want to glass a lot, because of what I learned, because of what I learned how to use those types of tools.
Yeah.
Like you said, it is a superpower. Like it will, and you got to use it.
You got to use it. Yeah, you got to opt in. Just because you have it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you unless you use it. And that's a huge thing.
And like you said, 10 power, it's like increasing your vision by 10 power. We make 12, like I use 12 power binoculars a lot. Then you got 12. I was talking to a guy at work that he's very into optics. And I've brought this up on the podcast before, but I think you and I, like, huge proponents of tripod glassing. Yep. Like, I almost don't like glassing unless I'm off a tripod anymore. I still do it, like, depending on, situation, you're on the go, this, that, the other. But he said, like, that essentially, like, in effect, like, doubles the magnification because you're being able to, like, keep those binoculars steady. The net effect would be similar to, like, doubling the magnification of that optic. So, like, I think a lot of times people think of like, I need to have a 12 or an 18 to, make it worth my while tripod glassing. No. Like, if you've got a 10 power binocular, if you've got an 8 power binocular, throw it on a tripod.
For sure. Yeah.
And then put them to your face.
And put them to your face. Yeah. Got to put them to your face. Yeah. And not just, that's the other thing though. Like, I tripod glass, but I also, like, when I could be walking through the timber and still rolling the focus and using my optics. You know what I mean? So if you're like, I'm going to wait till I get the glassing point to glass, you've missed a lot of opportunity along the way.
No, that is a huge one. Like, because I think oftentimes we do think of glassing or optics in terms of long distance, and that's the critical distance could be 40, 60 yards in the timber.
I don't know how many elk we've killed that would have been those elk that somebody bumped walking through timber.
Mm-hmm.
Countless elk. Like, we hunt a lot of timber, and I actually like hunting elk in timber. Because I think a lot of people aren't real good at it, and it is like a kind of a sanctuary for elk. And I kill a lot of elk in their bedding areas, even during rifle seasons. And I do that by using my optics constantly. And I will find them at that range before they can see you, because you have the advantage of the optical advantage. And I just walk and I just roll that focus so it like racks the focus in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly scanning and racking that focus. And you'll pick up like just a color of hair or something in that timber. Game changer.
Yeah.
It's the difference between killing an elk and having an elk a hunt where you never saw elk, or just see them running away all the time.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and it's not like, you like you said, you might spot just that minute detail.
Yeah.
Like whether it's like the tip of an ear, the tip of an antler, like you said, a color patch of hair that's maybe largely obscured by brush, but then you're like, oh, okay. And then you can take that now what's the best way?
Yeah.
To go try and approach that.
Well, I mean, think about even your elk this year. It was like early light. We knew where they were because we heard them, but we couldn't see them, and it was like burn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just rolling that focus through that burn, and all of a sudden, boom, saw the leg of one elk. There they are. Now we know where they are. Game time. It's like
right.
And it was 300, 400 yards away. You were never going to see that with your naked eye.
Yeah, and we're talking about this is a pre-shooting light, low light situation where you're still using your optics, which was critical for the next decisions that we made. And then shooting light comes and we've got an elk on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome.
Put them to your face.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Strapped. Maybe we need to come up with like an apparatus that you just.
Yeah.
I think I saw a YouTube video where people were playing soccer like that. It didn't really work out that well. Okay, so we've got that.
Yeah. I think that another good one that I use all the time, and I'll say it two ways, because one, it kind of started as bow hunting, and then I think it translates into other hunting as well. But with bow hunting, if you've got to release it, it was like originally like my release is either on my wrist or on my bow. I don't know how many times I've like been calling an elk for a client in like archery season. They're like trying to find their release because they went to the bathroom.
It's not a good feeling. I've been there.
Yeah. We've done some very long hikes that did not pan out well. Called in bulls and like no release to fire their bow. And I actually, it happened so many times, I actually got good at like making paracord releases and showing guys like, okay, here's how you can do it. And I don't think anybody, I could shoot them pretty well, but I don't think anybody ever killed one with one that I can remember. However, it's happened multiple times. It stemmed from I had an instance where I could have killed a really big deer and didn't get to because my release was in my pack.
Right.
Stupid. From that point on, I've never lost one. I've had the same one for like 20-something years.
That's
same release.
That's like astounding to me.
Yeah.
Like
that's commitment. That's commitment. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's probably over 20 years I've had the same release. I've only owned 2 releases.
That is one that really all these that's one that stuck with me, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good mantra, or just have the discipline. And sometimes it kind of stinks, right? Because like you get in the car, you kind of load your gear on, and you're like, I guess it's on your wrist, but maybe you don't want it on wrist because you're going to drive. The temptation
to just put it in a pocket or a cup holder.
Yeah, a cup holder on the seat, and then you're looking for it.
I will get out. I'll go the best way, not the easy way. I'll get out of the car and pull over and like put it on the bow. And sometimes it's a pain in the ass, but you got to do it. Now, if you got like, I said, I actually do have a lot of different releases, but I only hunt with one release. But if you've got like a thumb button release or some other kind of, it doesn't have a wrist strap, do that same thing, but whatever it is. Like it's either hooked to your D-loop or in your binocular, wherever you keep it. Right. Always those one of 2 places, never anywhere else. I would say when you're like removing wherever it is on your body, to put it with the bow. And when you're going into the field, put it wherever you put it and don't change that. Don't stick it somewhere else. Don't stick it in a different pocket. always put it in the same place.
That makes sense. And, if you have room, depending on your bino harness, like those super critical items that you, at least for me, that you want to have like all the time, like it'd be impossible for me to forget this item because I put it in my bino harness. I find and maybe this goes back to how critical we both think optics are, but like that's always coming with me.
For sure.
Like I might even not have my backpack, but I'm going to have my bino harness.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not walking around without my bino. I would leave pants in exchange for optics. Like I can get by without pants, but I'm not going hunting without binoculars. It's very weird, but like, dude, I've just done it. Like I just know that that's where a lot of my success comes from. So of course I'm going to do that. And I think that the risk, I think that would lead us into like our last mantra of don't put stuff on the ground. Like I have, it's kind of one of those things like when let's say you're going to change your jacket, right? Okay, you've got your bino harness on, whatever. Like I will put my pack on the ground, but I put everything in or on my pack. I put everything in one place. And that also extends to like safety factor of when you're skinning out an animal and putting knives on the ground. Never put a knife on the ground.
No.
That's like the most dangerous thing you can do in the backcountry. I think like that is akin to guns, and I see it all the time. Like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm setting my knife down. Sheath your knife, put it away, like because if it's on the ground, somebody else is going to step on it, roll on it, slide on it, stab them, whatever. You're going to lose it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
So when I'm like hunting, it's like, dude, I'm getting out and glassing, and I've got things out. It's either in my pack or on my pack or attached to my pack. Like those times when you take your rangefinder, it's like I'm not setting it on the ground next to anything. It's all together. So when I grab my pack, I have one item that I have to keep track of, and everything's on it. Gun, bow. That's actually a good combo. It's a bow gun. It's a bun.
That's what I need.
Dude, it's a bun. That's a man bun. Well, I guess they're called crossbows, and they are not as cool as I don't think they're that cool. But if you shoot a crossbow, no offense, you do you. I just don't want to shoot one. But we can. I'm going to call crossbows buns. They're like man bun weapons.
I'm not going to say
gun bow.
Here's what I'll say. It crossed my mind, but then I wasn't going to say.
This
it,
is going to turn like the comments to this to be like, dude, Remi hates on crossbows. I have hunted with friends that hunt with crossbows. I have nothing against crossbows.
That's true.
Know.
I mean, that is going to be the thumbnail for the video. It's like
the bun. I don't know. One word stutter turns into the bun. Yeah, my gun, my bow, my shotgun, my whatever, my pistol. I just don't set things other than like on the pack, and otherwise they're gone. You know?
I'll tie into that literally. And I know this from experience. To me, like as far as like optics, like just losing your optics, I think the rangefinder is like the most lost optic.
Yeah.
It comes with a leash for a very good reason, and that's one thing that I do not like. That's one of my mantras. Like I have my rangefinder in its pouch, leashed to my binocular harness.
Yeah. Like
I cannot separate it.
No, I won't. Oh, here's one. This is just. As far as in this category of mantras, I don't know where you stand on this, but I'm curious. I tether my binoculars to my bino harness. You go untethered?
I've been, okay, I was very tethered, and then I've been going a little bit untethered, but hey, I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Here's the thing. I know multiple people who have lost good binoculars in water. Like a buddy of mine, spring bear hunting, he had brand new pair of Razor 18s, brand new, first trip, untethered, goes to cross a log, fall in the rushing river. He went back with a metal detector, snorkel, like never to be seen again. I was in Greenland. A guy had a pair of brand new binoculars. It's mostly new binoculars, so they didn't take the time to do the thing, I think, or maybe they just go untethered. And getting out of a boat, boom, dropped him straight into the ocean.
Oh, my gosh.
Gone forever. Another friend sitting on a hillside glassing in a scree thing, fall out, go into a crag in a rock, and they were retrievable, but he had to come back like a couple days later with some specialty equipment.
Use your. You're right. You're right.
Just
And
use the tether.
Like I said, I'm back. Here's where the one like I find like sometimes like I'll have my harness on, then I put my backpack on, and then I put the the chest strap on, and then I go to use my binoculars, and then like I'm kind of like pinned in there a little bit. But like you said, the benefits outweigh the negatives.
I'm not saying you can't
so.
unclip. Like, I unclip, but when I'm hiking around, I tether.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I don't use the chest strap, so that's probably aids
Really?
in it. No.
I don't like, just
Never use
choke
it.
it down, but I do like.
I don't think I used it a long time ago. Just didn't like the feel restricted of breathing. My lungs just going in and out.
Just sweet freedom.
Sweet freedom, man. I will untether my pack, but I will not untether my binos. These are my mantras. You will follow this. I don't know if you can hear that.
I think you should. I think honestly, like these are truly like things like steadfast. Do not, and the more you do them the same way, the more you will, because if developing a system is important. I'm still working on my system, but like there's certain things like this where it's just like I think it really benefits you to make that part of your system.
Yes.
And take the time.
Oh yeah, and I mean, every once in a while I do something stupid, right? But can I tell you? I'm gonna just tell on myself real quick. So deer season, my last deer hunt of the year. I've got I got my system right.
Right.
But we jumped in the truck. We're moving spots. I look up and I'm like, I want to check out that basin. So I grab my 18s out of my backpack, but and I'm like glassing from the front of the truck, and I see a deer. So I set the 18s on the hood of the truck.
Oh no!
Right. And when I set them there, I said I should never put those there. And then I walked to the back, grabbed my spotting scope, walked to the front because I was using a tripod. Spotting scope. Okay, it was just does. I jump back in the truck a little further down the road. I'm like, did I put those binoculars back in? My wife was with me. She's like, I don't know. I turned around. I was like, damn it. And I turned around. Sure enough, I ran them over.
Oh, no.
So the warranty department got it. They're currently at the warranty department.
There we go. Now
and the VIP warranty is paid for itself. So, yeah, that happened. So when I don't follow it, bad things happen. And those binoculars were like the superhero of that hunt. It was a lot of long range glassing, and I was forced to continue that hunt with undergunned, I guess.
Yeah.
So, dude, serious consequences for not following the rules.
I mean, there are, and when I break my own rules, which I do, I'm human. As much as I tell myself, like, okay, you've set this here, so remember that you've set this here because you don't usually do that. You usually do this, but you're being lazy and you're setting this here now. You need to remember to do that.
You've already forgot.
It does not happen.
Yeah. If you have to have a conversation to yourself about something, you shouldn't do it. Like
by the time I've reaffirmed all the things that I need to do to remember the thing that I've done, wrong, I should have just done.
When I set those there, I was like, this is stupid. But I was like, surely I said it was stupid. There's no way that I'm gonna run these over. Oh God, such a bummer. I was so mad.
That is a bummer. Well, Remi, you brought up because of that you were undergunned for the rest of the hunt, but all these mantras, if you're on a rifle hunt, tie into needing the implement to execute the final aspect of the hunt, which is shooting the critter. Do you have any news in regards to rifles?
Oh yeah. So actually, at the show. At the Western Hunt Expo here, we launched my Weatherby Live Wild Remi Warren Signature Series Mark V. So it's available. It's pretty awesome. It's very feature rich. It's got spiral fluted barrel, spiral fluted bolt, lightened bolt handle, skeletonized. It's got trigger set trigger. It comes with a muzzle brake, so it's threaded as well. In case you want to slap a suppressor on there.
Nice.
Nothing worse these days than buying an unthreaded barrel, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm a big threaded barrel guy.
Let me not pre-apologize, but re-apologize for not having. Dude, I'm still living not suppressor life, and I keep telling, for the last 4 years, I've been like, you need to start doing this. You need to start. And I just need to start doing it. So, yes.
But here's the thing. I will. There's some rifles with longer barrels that I will just keep the brake on,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's nice. Like I either shoot with a brake or a suppressor. I don't go straight barrel. There's another mantra. No straight barrel. Thread your barrel. Thread your barrel. Damn it! And it's a pain to have to go get your barrel threaded.
It is. Well, and luckily though, like it is like I think because of just like wider range acceptance of suppressors and people wanting to manage recoil and just better implements for that, like it's becoming like more common as a factory op, which is cool. So and that's awesome that yours is coming with that.
It's got that. It's got a synthetic hand painted stock, so it looks cool. It's all Cerakoted, not stock, but the barrel and bolt Cerakoted, and a wide variety of calibers as well.
We were looking at that yesterday. Like it was pretty like
very
that was a robust list.
It's a very robust list of caliber selection. So there's something for everyone.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So, well, there's something for everyone. I think these tips, if you are a hunter, are for everyone. I know they're your mantra. I'm working really hard to make them always my mantra. I think the listeners out there, definitely make it your mantra. And then check out Remy's new Weatherby rifle. It's pretty cool. Super feature rich. So
find any of that kind of stuff on my website, RemiWarren.com, if you'd like to. RemiWarren. .com. Should make a jingle.
Let's work on that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Remi. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Super great information. Live by it. Your hunt depends on it. We'll catch you on the next one.